Well, thank you, Chamberlain. We have with us in the studio this morning Dr. Oke Ikechukwu, who is Executive Director, Development Specs Academy. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you. Good morning.
And a happy holiday to you.
Yeah, I wish you the same. And I will also, on the holiday note, congratulate Channels and Martins, who just left this Lagos studio. You know, there's nothing that develops a society more than informed conversation. And I think the decision of Channels to introduce a dimension of further evaluation by people who are competent to do so is very good. And I'm sure for viewers who watch it, this will be a dose of political education just in the name of newspaper review. So I commend the station and the choice of person.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, let's talk about what is happening in the House of Representatives. It's been, I don't know if you saw this coming at all. I mean, it would seem that, I don't know, maybe for those who are in the House of Reps and who cover activities in the House of Reps, perhaps they would have been seeing the, the movement in the House. But it would seem that, what we thought had simmered down, that's the controversy that came up in the wake of the election, or is it the selection now of the minority leader of the House of Representatives, is yet to settle. It would seem that what we thought was a simmering down wasn't a simmering down at all. It would seem that the PDP was still planning its strategy, and now they have come up with something that, well, they are saying, some members of the House of Reps are saying is capable of causing disaffection amongst members of the PDP. But how would you describe the strategy of saying that, yes, Mr. Elumelu, you can continue to be minority leader of the House of Reps, even though you stand suspended as a member of the PDP. We have the right to select who it is that we want to be PDP caucus leader in the House of Representatives. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you started by asking whether I saw it coming. Yes. I mean, anybody would have seen this coming long ago. Not because of what's going on in the National Assembly, but because of the character of the PDP as a political party, particularly within the last 4 years. It is a divided party. It's a party where the leadership has not managed to convince itself, its members, or the public that it has a cohesive hold on itself. And therefore, the divisions keep erupting. You saw how the elections went. The candidate got the ticket. He just joined the party, took the ticket. If there was anything, the party did not effectively mobilize for its own candidate. The Southeast revolted against the choice of a vice president. The campaigns were not the typical PDP campaigns. Look back, Atiku was vice president when the party had 3 campaign teams, one of them headed by himself, one by Obasanjo, one by the party chairman Audu, when they were touring the country. So it's been progressively demobilizing itself. And within the House, there are power tussles. So what we see, which people say is shocking, is actually the further expression of the lack of cohesion within the party. And the so-called solution they've come up with, look at it, it's scandalous. What would Elumelu call himself? Now, the decision the party has taken, how does it fit in? All of that, put them on the table, ask yourself. This is a party that presents itself as an opposition. In other words, it's telling you that, look, the guys there are not good enough, how come in? And then you can't keep your house in order. Where are you headed with it?
No, but the PDP said, some people might disagree with you, sir. Certainly. They would say that this is the first time the party is putting its foot down. Because what one would have thought would happen, every time we see this happen in the House of Reps, say with the emergence of leadership, for instance, say the position of the speaker or majority leader, oftentimes the party always seems powerless to do anything about it. What they seem to be doing or what they want to do is they want to assert themselves and say, look, we are the party and we have a right to say who will be,
who will hold what position for us.
Exactly.
That is perfectly in order, but until until Tambuwal's tenure, the party had always put its foot down. It was a Tambuwal coalition, a commendable national coalition. He pulled up with his colleagues across all parties that put the PDP in check for the first time in that regard. And secondly, it's important that party should be seen to hold what it says. But it's more important that the party should be seen to be credible, the party leadership. So the issue on the table for me is not whether you're disagreeing with the party or not, or whether the party is doing what, by appropriate, if you like, best practices, is the best thing to do. So putting your food down, okay, I don't have table manners. I like to eat with my feet on the table, and a couple of us like doing it. So if we put our foot down, we get away with it. The question is, are we doing the right thing? PDP needs serious self-examination and house cleaning. And so to come and do an episodic encounter with the House, let's even assume the position of the party is right. Does that translate into the need for PDP to re-strategize, actually mobilize, rescue its national secretariat from an epidemic of press releases that do not really suggest a clear focus as an alternative, if you like, real opposition government? This is a distraction that the party should not be mistaken, should not use to assume that it's getting hold of itself. No. This is the National Assembly. I mean, not even a component of the National Assembly. This is not a party in the states. This is not the need to present alternative policy ideas to what the Abu Buhari government is doing. The PDP is going under, and what they are settling and celebrating is a quarrel over the principal officer in the National Assembly that should come from the party. I think it ought to be able to do much more than that. So putting its foot down, there's nothing impressive about that, with all due respect.
The party says it's not going to reward disloyalty. Even though the Elumelu faction has said, look, we are still very loyal to the PDP, and he's saying that this minority position is not tenable, this PDP caucus leader. So there's a differentiation between the PDP caucus leader and the minority leader of the House of Representatives.
I agree.
They claim that, you can actually have a leader of the minority who is not necessarily the leader of our caucus. Is this something understandable?
There are several challenges here. It says we are not going to reward disloyalty. I like that. That's what a party should say. But is there evidence that PDP has not been rewarding disloyalty? Atiku led the party, worked hard against it. By the way, before then, he was one who rescued the party in the 2003 elections. Being involved, the party did not run its campaign. It was the money Atiku provided. That campaign was run from a room in Bullet House. Go and ask Onyemu Gochukwu, go and ask Garba Shehu. Myself, 4 people ran that campaign, notwithstanding the fact that there was supposed to be a campaign committee. So, without prejudice to the fact that PDP would long have gotten into trouble without Atiku's large heart and involvement and all the rest of it. But let's look at the matter of rewarding disloyalty. He came in, got the presidential ticket. That annoyed a lot of people. If you recall, after the campaigns began, 4 people were appointed as technical advisors to him. McCarthy, very angry man. Lamido, how could Lamido be a technical assistant to anybody? Then Ekweremadu, embittered because he wasn't chosen as vice president. And the 4th person, Wike, who saw his candidate, Tambuwal, thrown out at the last minute. Everybody was angry. Now, what am I saying? In giving him that ticket, there was no attempt also to build a consensus of non-angry persons. So you cannot say that the basis for this is that, we don't reward disloyalty. PDP has a good record of rewarding disloyalty, if you like to use the word disloyalty. So that shouldn't be the trajectory. It should be about, see the distinctions we've made, see the choices we've made. This is the best. And these are the reasons for it. It will be reassuring. But I think the focus of the leadership is in winning the victory. And that remains a major bane of the party, that the top echelon of the party carries out things, does what he should do, achieves results, and is in the name of the party. There's no mobilization downstream. That's why politics remains what happens just before elections. And that's why there's a crisis. As we speak, what's going on in the States? How are people being prepared that, look, we ought to displace this government? So every month, let's have a rally, let's do membership drive, let even our coordinators in each state know themselves and meet once every week or every 2. Such things are not going on. And so the problem is much more serious than that. And that's why even if it's to get into government today, the matter of policy will still revolve around roads, budgeting and spending, not impact on citizen welfare. One would have expected that having lost, that there will have been a good dose of self-evaluation, evaluation of the environment. But there's more a struggle to take over, more a struggle to condemn the sitting government than to present credible, sustainable, meaningful 21st century alternatives to what this government is doing. So the crisis is not about whether the wording disloyalty. Check the track record and show evidence. In the States, those who get tickets, whether for governorship or senate, you have more than enough indication that it rewards disloyalty.
So if this is if you say that this is, how do I put it now? This is this is not a symptom, or this is not any way to say that, the PDP is putting its foot down? Because some people might argue that maybe this is one of the ways it's trying to show that it's trying to get its house in order. If you said that this cannot be an instance of such an example, how do you suggest that the PDP begins to show that as a party, when it says something, it really means that thing should hold, whether it is in, even though right now at the national level, it's in the opposition?
No, I'm not saying it's not that. It could be an instance. The point being made is that don't just say I'm putting my foot down. Say this is why this is wrong. This is the ideology of our party. This is how we want things done. And this is the kind of reputation we want to maintain. Within the context of that, this does not fit in. Advocacy, not information dissemination, is the central component of political communication.
Haven't they said that enough?
Have they?
Haven't they said that when the minority leadership emerged in the House of Representatives, the PDP protested very vigorously?
Now, the grounds of the protest is the issue. It wasn't produced by the party. A father whose issues with his son or sons are always settled in the village square, what does that tell you about the father and the family? That's what I'm worried about in the case of the PDP. There must be somebody who can talk Elumelu into good behavior. There must be some kind of consensus.
But is he going to let go?
No, that's the point. If he's not letting go, what is strengthening him? How come he could hold his own against you? What interest is he protecting that cannot be negotiated? This is politics. So if you choose to advertise your failure to hold the house on CNN, that's your choice. But I think that's what PDP is doing. This is a disagreement. Of course, it occurs in all parties, no question about that. But this doesn't have to go the way it's going. In the end, the party loses.
Okay. Some people will argue that perhaps that will not be the situation. Do you even think, if you agree indeed that in principle it is possible for the PDP caucus leader to be separate from the minority leader of the House of Representatives, how would that have worked in the first place?
No, it is conceivable, and it can work, because what it will do is that it will give the party extra leverage. The caucus leader becomes, if you like, the imperator, the one who maintains discipline in the House. The other man becomes a visible front of the party in the exercise of the duties of the National Assembly of the House as a principal officer. So that the minority leader becomes the voice of the caucus. Whereas the caucus leader, how this works is that, let's say it works in various ways. You come in, we have a family meeting. You know that in the family it is Uncle so-so-and-so or Auntie so-so-and-so or Papa Teresa that presides over the meeting. We go to the village square. We know it is Aloy's dad that speaks in the name of the family. But that's because what he is going to say has been put into his mouth in the family meeting where he didn't preside. That's what needs to happen in this instance. But where the minority leader and the chosen caucus leader are at loggerheads over ego, there could be issues, and that's where party discipline comes in. Look, we want to dominate this space, but we also want to hold our house, and therefore, in order to dominate the space, we need this person to go forward. He has a strong voice, he has presence, he can articulate, but in the house, we need this other person to hold meetings because he can do this for us. That way, each time you step out, it is strong. And it is a strategy that you find that works a lot I recall an incident, that was 99, Abraham Adesanya had come to visit us on the Comet, which was then the nation's editorial board. I was chairman of the editorial board, and one of the issues I raised with him was, sir, OPC has become a nuisance in this country. He's doing all sorts of things. After all the long speeches, the man said, well, my son, maybe because you're much younger than I am, and you know where Nigeria is going. I don't at my age. And I tell you, we meet with those boys in the night and tell them what to do during the day. Because if this country falls apart, it will be unfortunate if the Southwest does not have an army that can defend it. Now, what point am I leading up to? The ability to have group conversations and a mouthpiece. Those are two different things. What the PDP is proposing is not unheard of, is not unfeasible. It could make a lot of sense. All it will require is for people to rein in their egos and pursue a strong central interest. We need a strong voice in the House. This person will be our majority leader or minority leader or whatever leader we choose. He is our front. We're not sending him, he's not going there in the name of his father or mother or uncles, he's going in the name of our party, and everything. We make his work easy by preparing what he'll need to put out in our name. But I think a greater feeling of involvement, of joint ownership, could be gained by having a, what do you call it, a minority leader distinct from the caucus leader. Where it becomes an issue is where the egos are too fat to realize that there's a common interest and not their personal visibility.
Yeah, but isn't there an issue there? Because some people will also argue that the minority leader ought to get his base from his own political party. Mm-hmm. In other words, it should seem that he should get majority of votes from his own political base before he can be seen to be, soliciting the votes of the other minority parties.
Okay, no, I actually didn't address that aspect at all.
Yeah.
I agree completely with you. If I'm a minority leader and I'm holding on to that position with total opposition from my party because I've got the house, now it will be unreasonable for the party to let me get away with it. I got to that position on the platform of the party. The party represents something. If I have an issue, there should be a disciplinary committee within the party. Where I could actually say no and get away with it is if there's a culture of renegade leadership, a culture of impunity, and both the complainant and the person saying he's wrong know that there's been no rules all along. Then that's why this sort of thing. But ordinarily, in the ideal situation, a minority leader coming from Party A should be the outpost of Party A. Not not an autonomous community, which is what we see causing the problem right now.
I'm sorry, I'm not very clear on that point. What do you mean by that?
If I'm minority leader,
yes,
and my party wants another person to be minority leader,
yeah,
and I'm saying no, in party politics, in civil political administration and power holding, for discipline, efficiency, and ideological purity, it will be wrong for a principal officer standing in the name of the party not to be in the name of the party. How? So he has created another coalition, which is not in the interest of my party. As a matter of fact, that's a possible step towards further possible loss of elections later, because another coalition is keeping him in an office chosen for my party. That's very scary.
That's where the problem lies.
Yes.
Because it then questions the base of the minority leader. Even though you say, yes, it is possible for a caucus leader to emerge and also a minority leader to coexist and, they can work hand in hand, but it questions the base of, what is the minority leader standing on?
Maybe I didn't separate the issues appropriately.
Yeah.
In the ideal situation, they should work together. Probably I was addressing only the ideal only. They should work together. They can't coexist, provided there's discipline in the party and the party put out this fellow. Now, in the absence of that, no. Because... Sorry?
I get your point, even in the ideal situation. What I'm saying is, in the ideal situation, who would have elected who? Would there have been two positions, for instance, where, the party would have said, okay, we have a minority caucus, we have a caucus leader who leads the caucus of our party, and we also have the minority leader. Now, what they are saying, the argument that Mr. Honorable Ilumelu has been making is that it follows naturally that if you are the minority leader, you are also the leader of the caucus of your party.
Okay, I get the point now. Certainly, yes. To the extent that you're the minority leader, I don't suppose there will be another voice in public, countering, controlling, other than you. That I agree with. I was only talking about the process of party discipline before the visibility of the face. Ilumelu's case is well understood. My worry is why it could not be resolved, and how Ilumelu has been able to secure a coalition over and above the party. If there's nothing behind him, he won't be standing as we speak.
Let us talk. I don't know how this is going to resolve. Now, this matter has been referred to the Ethics and Privileges Committee. There are fears that suspension could be looming somewhere for members of the party. That's the fear for the PDP. Within the PDP itself, it says that Mr. Ilumelu and some other members, which is suspended in the aftermath of the controversy of their emergence, they stand suspended. According to them, they are saying that one of the reasons why they have said Honorable Chinda should go ahead is because they are suspended and they want people to be able to take charge of the affairs of the party within the House of Representatives. Was that a tenable position for you?
No. Well, you've only presented two platforms for authority conflict. It won't make the party look any better. My worry is why this was not. They were not able to resolve this. There must be strong forces at play, and that should worry the PDP more. Suspending Elumelu and the rest of them, will that yield the desired result? You know, there are fights which, when you see that you're likely to lose, you advise yourself on how to behave instead of going out.
Let's come, though, to the quality of, representation. And I know this is going to be totally subjective, but there are those who argue that Honorable Chinda would have been a better force for opposition in the House of Representatives than Honorable Elumelu. Is this something you agree with?
I can understand that. Yes, visibility and all the rest of it. Yeah, Chinda will appear to have some advantage. Also knowing that Elumelu has some controversy around him, I think in connection with power and his previous tenures. So yes, if I'm in the party, I'm likely to go along with a Chinda choice. So yes, I can understand why they think Chinda would have been a better face to put to minority leadership in the party and in the interest of the party.
What would you advise the PDP to do if it feels that way? I mean, this is not holding brief for either of them, but assuming that, yes, the PDP feels that this is the person who would have better represented our interest, this is where we currently are. We have somebody else who has emerged for good or for bad, because he says he was able to garner the votes of not just the majority within the PDP who, elected him, who put their signatures to paper, but also of other minority parties as well who supported him, who gave him overwhelming support for him to carry their mandate as minority leader.
Well, I will advise,
what do you say to that?
No, I will advise the PDP actually not to make the mistake it made that humiliated it. And I think in the fourth house, Elumelu has emerged. That means he enjoys some level of acceptance within a wider spectrum than the PDP. What the PDP may have to do, which is now too late as a matter of fact, would have been what he should have done was to find an accommodation. Fine, this boy has shown us that we're not in control. Let's not let everybody know. Let's go and negotiate some things. What is it we can give to Chinda? Can we get him to work closely with Chinda? Can we get the party interest to dominate? Can we find out where we also got it wrong that made him trash us in public so that we don't look worse subsequently? Tambuwa managed it well when he dealt with, clobbered everybody. When he emerged as speaker, people expected him to be triumphant and trampling on everybody. No, he moved quickly into coalitions. His committee chairmen were not the sort of people anybody expected. He ran one of the smoothest houses as speaker. So that's what should concern the PDP right now. Unfortunately, also the PDP played along. But right now, I think the matter is a little too late. Egos are bruised, people are angry, and it's in the public domain. They've already, do you really, from how the controversy is going, I'll be surprised if they withdraw the threat of suspension.
Against who?
Tony. What do you call it?
Honorable Chinda?
No, whichever.
That's the House suspending Honorable Chinda?
The party.
Or the party?
Yeah, it's become an ego thing now. It has become one person saying I won't back down, the other saying I won't back down. It's become a little complicated right now.
Well, I guess it's a game of wait and see. Let's see how it eventually pans out. Time eventually resolves things. I mean, it lets us know just how things will eventually play out. But we'll wait and see how that politics eventually pans out on the floor of the House of Representatives. But we have to thank you very much for coming on Sunrise Today this morning. Dr. Okechukwu is Executive Director, Development Specs Academy. Sunrise Today continues in a moment. Please stay with us.